Welcome to 1000 PS, welcome to the, let's call it the real world introduction of the new Ténéré 700. Because just a few weeks ago, I got a phone call from Yamaha asking if I wanted to ride this bike in Morocco. Sadly, I couldn't make it, but this is a good second best. 2 days in Austria to see what the new Ténéré 700 for 2025 is like in the real world on tarmac. So we've had 2 days here in Austria on the new Ténéré from Yamaha for 2025. It was a bike that I was interested and intrigued to ride because I remember riding the original bike. What was that? That was back in 2019 and there's been loads of models and variants since. Back then in 2019, it was kind of like a robust, all-rounder, middleweight adventure bike that was good at both on and off-road. And then it just kind of started lacking in a few areas, especially in some technical areas. And back on the first one, it was a little bit soft on the suspension and really benefited from aftermarket suspension. But now, as we go into 2025, Yamaha have really upped their game with the new model. We've got that new CP2 motor, which is joined with the MT-07. But now we've got ride-by-wire fueling. And what that means is we can now add rider modes. We can now add traction control, and we can control the fueling electronically. So with that, we've now got two rider modes, which is Sport and Explorer, and we've also got changeable traction control. All that is now changeable via new switchgear with this kind of four-way joystick and a big 7.5-inch TFT screen that is very clear and simple to operate. The switchgear also includes the new indicator with its self-cancelling function, which you'll see on other Yamaha models. That's become a bit of a kind of Marmite subject. 50% of the people love it, 50% of the people absolutely hate it. In terms of ABS, we've got conventional ABS, but because this has got a big 21-inch front wheel, we can switch it into an off-road ABS, which means we've got ABS on the front, not on the rear. Or we can switch it off completely, 100% entirely, so we've got no ABS. In terms of the main chassis and suspension, it's actually more about the ride-by-wire fueling and the rider aids and the tech. So we've still got the 43mm forks, which are fully adjustable, and we've got fully adjustable on the rear. The linkage has changed slightly on the rear, and Yamaha are quoting a 208 kilogram. Seat height remains at 875mm, which means she is quite a tall girl, sat on that long travel suspension with that 21-inch front end. Price in the UK is just over £10,000, which I think is 10,404 if we want to be precise. But there is, damn it, just over £10,000. Power, as I say, has remained the same, so we're at 72.5, 73 horsepower at 9,000 RPM and around 50 foot-pounds of torque at 6,500. Or if you want to be a bit anal, it's 68 newton meters, if I remember rightly. So I've been looking forward to riding the bike. It's a bike that I've always enjoyed in the past, both on and off-road, and it was intriguing to get on the bike straight away. For me, as a short rider, there's no hiding that 875mm seat height. She is a tall lady. There is an optional lower version, But for me, if you're going to go for a big adventure bike with loads of ground clearance and big 21-inch front wheel and long travel suspension, then I prefer, even as a short ride, to stay on the standard seat. It's manageable. I can cope with it. It's not a heavy bike. It's just over 200 kilograms. But every now and then, I just need to plan whereabouts I'm going to stop to make sure I can get 2 feet securely on the ground. You also notice the kind of firmness and thinness of the seat. This bike hasn't been solely designed to do big mileage on the road. It's been designed to be a crossover. It's been designed to work both on and off-road. And for that reason, the seat is quite narrow, which enables shorter riders like me to get 2 feet on the ground. But it's also quite firm, and you feel that when you've been putting in a lot of miles. It's quite a firm, narrow seat. The dash and the switchgear is a big step over the previous bike. The dash is really simple, really intuitive, very easy to use. It's easy to move between the two modes, the Sport and Explorer. It's easy, once you're at a standstill, to turn the traction control off, which allows you to pull wheelies in first and second gear. And it's also relatively easy at a standstill to turn the ABS on and off. Again, you can have ABS just on the front and let the loose rear, or you can turn the ABS off completely, entirely. But this has been a 100% road test, so we've just left the ABS standard. Really nice, strong, progressive brakes. They're the same brakes as we had before with Brembo, and there's lots of support from the suspension. Sometimes with bikes with long travel suspension, especially middleweight adventure bikes, there's a lot of travel on the brakes and a lot of sitting on the rear suspension, and when you throw it into a corner, it moves too much in the chassis. It's got too much travel. But this is all controlled, it's all fully adjustable, but we've not felt the need to change anything. I've left it absolutely completely standard. When you first get on the bike, it does feel like you're riding on stilts a little bit, because it is quite tall, especially for a tall rider like me. You notice it has a 21-inch front wheel. You notice it is designed to work both on-road and off-road. But then when we've hit some of these beautiful hairpins that we've got here in Austria, you start to feel the chassis, you start to work with the chassis, and you kind of click with it. And by the end of the first morning, I was taking some liberties. You can carry quite a lot of lean, even on these off-road bias tyres. You can carry corner speed, you've got lots of power, you've got lots of grunt, and you can really carve up these perfectly tarmacked mountain passes at a relatively decent pace. As I say, it's all been on-road today. We're going to hit this bike again in a couple of weeks off-road. But as an on-road bike, it is more than capable. You are making a few sacrifices for its off-road ability, as in mentioned previously, the thin and slightly narrow seat. But in terms of what this bike is capable on-road is rather impressive. Don't be put off by the off-road looking stance, the off-road looking suspension and off-road looking tyres. This can hustle on the road. In terms of drawbacks or setbacks, there's only a few little negatives for me. The screen is completely standard, non-adjustable, and it's a little bit low. At high speeds on the motorway, you get quite a bit of buffeting. There's no option, as far as I'm aware, for cruise control, which now we've got ride-by-wire, you'd think that Yamaha would fit cruise control. The modes are pretty simple. You've just got Sport and Explorer. Other bikes in this range have got urban and wet and rain modes and maybe an extreme version. There's only really 2 modes that you can play with. Some people are just going to love the simplicity of that and just having 2 modes, where some, I think, are going to want a few more gizmos and a few more toys. For me, for 2020-25, Yamaha have upped their game. The ride-by-wire, the traction control is a big step over the previous bike. The new dash is very simple and clear to use, so is the new switchgear. Traction control is something we've come so accustomed to and so used to. There's riders who are coming through the ranks who've never ridden a bike without traction control. To have that with the ride-by-wire system and the different rider modes and the multitude of rider aids that comes with the Ténéré is another big stepping mark. I guess there's 2 big question marks that we need to hit with the new Ténéré for 2025. One is, what is it going to be like against the competition? And 2, what's it going to be like off-road, which we're going to hit in a few weeks. But as a road test on the road bike on the new Ténéré, it's not disappointed. Since the first Ténéré back in 2019, Yamaha have just got a step better, and a step better, and a step better. For 2025, Yamaha have kept on this tradition of just improving the Ténéré in increments. Now we've got better rider ears, we've got that improved dash, we've got the ride-by-wire, we've got the different rider modes, we've got the traction, and a slight tweak to the suspension and the chassis with having like larger pegs. For me, it's a significant improvement, just not a massive step. Just glad that I got to ride the bike on the road. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Again, if you've got any technical questions, anything specific, fire them below and me and one of the team will get back to you. If you want to know what the bike was like in Morocco, fire away under below and you'll find one of the videos. And the next time you'll see us, I'll more than likely be riding this off-road.